yes anding. We're gonna yes and the entire time.
The entire
Oh,
thing. That's what makes it so much fun.
and we've already gotten started. It's already pressed record, so
Sweet.
it's
Does it
happening.
sound better?
Uh
Does my
it
mic sound better?
sounds that sounds so much better. Cool.
Hey.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to If This Then What's first episode. Mom, if you're watching, hi. I'm on the internet.
Hey, Dad.
Cydney, wave to the fans. We'll probably have like 10 people watch this. It's gonna be okay.
And we are so excited about each and every one of you.
every single one of you. And maybe like 50 years down the road, we'll look back to the YouTube archives and be able to find ourselves and be like, we were so wrong on all of this stuff.
On all of this. Can you believe we thought that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so should I let me bring to the stage. Let me rewind this real quick. This is
so cool.
world premiere of If This Then What intro.
So dope. Oh, there's more.
Okay. I had too much fun with that.
Dude, okay, do you want to know how weird and simmy this is? I love glass. Like, it's actually an obsession with mine. I have a bunch of glassware, and I'm always watching. Like, they have a reality show called Blown, and it's a bunch of people doing blowing glass, like competitions. And so when I saw this, it was just, I don't know, I'm just always looking for things that are meant to be aligned with where I am in life, and just another sign.
that was part of the prompt, right? Was it was so a little bit history on this intro. I spent maybe about an hour making the video, and this is like, so I use Sora, which is like an open AI, like you get it with your $20 a month if you've got ChatGPT, and it's just prompting, and then you can mix, remix, and like you can like merge different vibes together.
Yeah.
And so you can go and get other people's videos and say, I want to mix this with my video, and it like will pull different aspects to the video together. Spent way too much time on it, and then I ran out of credits. I will say, OpenAI, if you could make it more obvious when somebody runs out of edits credits, because I am now on the pro plan. We've got unlimited prompts now, and $200 a month price tag. So cool. But so maybe like an hour and a half making the video, and then probably 2.5 hours making audio, because I don't know who makes audio for movies, but like I've never thought about sound effects. I've never thought about like how to create a vibe with stuff. I literally ended up I was trying, like the premise of it is, we had an artisan who needed to make our If This Then What neon sign, which is our logo at the top right. And are you there? You froze on my screen.
We're back.
There we go.
We're back. Okay. You were saying you hadn't thought about background noises until how it took so long. That was the last thing I heard you say.
Yeah, it's way harder to make it. But basically I pulled a song, like made it the instrumental, then I AI generated using 11 Labs like the clinking glasses, because I was like, I kind of want him making the glass. Like I don't want him just like plugging in a neon sign. And yeah, so I had fun with it. It was kind of like a little what is going to be, I think what would be a really cool thing is that each month we somehow remix the intro video, and we just go back and forth, or you just tell me if you were to change something, what would you change?
That would be cool. Huh. Let me chew on that. Because
Okay.
I like that idea of like maybe another person takes over the prompt.
Somebody takes over the prompt, we remix it, and it'll be this like ever evolving. If we get our community, our we'll get my mom and your dad to like comment what the next prompt should be. Christian and the dads and guys out there. It's funny. I've got dads in my backyard. Thursday night, we're recording this Thursday, December 26th, and Thursday night is dad beer night, and I spaced and forgot that I had double booked myself. So we're the podcast. It comes first. Because we've been planning this for a bit.
I know Josh was so great to just stay patient with me. Like, so we're like racehorses behind a gate, but like just waiting for it to open.
Well, you've had some cool stuff going. So we'll pause on that and just say, I'll go ahead, introduce myself. So my name is Joshua Giles. I've got an MBA. I currently work in construction industry. I've been at a $9 billion nationwide employee-owned construction business for the last 7 years. Absolutely love the company. And my first few years, I made an application that kind of got me into a little bit more technical. I'm not a technical person at all, and I say that. I'm a little bit of a technical person.
I feel like
I geek out about things. I do geek out a little bit. It just interests me. It makes my life so much easier if I can create something that it helps not only myself, but everybody I interact with communicate. And it's kind of become a passion of mine, is just helping people do their jobs. So starting in January, my job is going to be helping our company transition and get a little bit more AI into our business and figure out the exact scopes to use it on, and get something a little bit agentic. And we'll talk about agents there in a little bit, because I think that's going to be a big 2025 goal in the world. But that's kind of what I've got going on. Cydney, tell us all the phenomenal things about you.
Oh gosh, there's not that many. Don't make me blush.
Cydney, you're one of my favorite professionals ever.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And good people.
I appreciate that. Aren't we glad we grew? I grew from college.
You and me both.
Right. Well, I have always been my name's Cydney Davis. I've always been extremely passionate about the intersection of the business side of business with the people side of business. My favorite quote, and one that I just live by, is Zig Ziglar's quote, where he says, "You don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business." And so I have always been extremely passionate about that. I was even still pinch myself to this day. I was fortunate enough to have worked with Brene Brown at her company, Brave Leaders Inc., and was even a part of the book writing plan for Dare to Lead. So just pinch me moments. So much I learned from that, and I'm so grateful for that experience. But ever since then, it's been about how do I continue to take that into businesses. And the great thing is that HR professionals are getting seats at the executive table. COVID helped really was a huge catalyst to that. But what I have been advised by CHROs, because I'm one of those nerds that will reach out to professionals on LinkedIn, and I'm always asking for informational interviews because I'm just genuinely interested. But the advice they gave me is go and get your MBA and learn how to read financials, how to analyze the data, how to make decisions from the data. You'll learn the HR things on the job. But you want to be able to speak to that. So what Josh was alluding to is I recently graduated with my MBA at the University of Houston.
Let's go.
And the goal was to be able to better communicate to executives how the people side of business directly impacts their bottom line. When people at companies feel valued, supported, it's proven that they are more innovative, they're more engaged, they're more productive, and all of those things directly impact the bottom line. So that's me.
So you amazing intro. First off, I wish I could be as well spoken as you, but somehow you still like undersold yourself. You're again. I just need to reiterate.
God.
smartest people I know. And you just get people. There's something weird wired in my brain, and I think that it's why I wanted to partner with you, is that I tend to lend a little bit more to adopting things a lot faster. Like I'm just open to doing something new. I'm always grounded in what has worked in the past, right? That you just have to have that. Like you shouldn't innovate just because you can, which is going to be a topic of tonight. But I sometimes struggle with the people side of learning new skills, and I know that that's been a big focus of your career is just that adult learning aspect, and kind of putting in programs that bring people along to learning new aspects. And I think that that is going to be such a big part of AI, especially going into 26, 27. I am very much on the side that we're about to be entering a renaissance, right? Because if we have now entered a world that from a technical aspect, you can learn and do anything. And at some point, you're just the coding language is now human words. And building software is about to be just, I can describe the process flows, what should be on a screen, what should be happening in the background when I click this button. And if you can describe that in detail in paragraph form, or even tell an AI what your goal is and have it give you the details, this is the world that we're living in right now. And I'm so excited for people to catch up to that. But I've been living in this world for about a year, and I just keep waiting for people to realize that the world changed.
Yeah.
And I keep bringing it up to my friends. I'm like, hey, did you see that in the news? And they're like, Josh, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So you are just like that adult learning piece of that. You want to just kind of talk on kind of your past and that area, and what you kind of feel like bringing along people into the AI world.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will say I have had a tremendous opportunity to observe a lot of adult learning and be a part of a lot of adult learning. There's a lot of people that I've learned from, and I'll always be someone to say that there's so much more room for me to learn more, right? But I think the biggest thing with adult learners, if I had to sum it up into two things that are most important that have been have been made an example of in front of me, or that I've helped guide others to do, is, I'm losing it. Hold on. I got mixed up on a word. Are we going to be able to cut the video, or is it just going to be
we're
raw?
live.
Oh
we're
my
live.
gosh, everybody. It just went. The biggest thing for me with adult learners is you got to meet them where they are. So first you have to understand you have to meet them where they are, which means you have to figure out where they are, and a lot of people don't take the time to do that, or for whatever reason that isn't considered a large part where you should invest your time in before even trying to explore adult learning. And the second thing is a lot of people have different types of learning, and the biggest thing is for people to do with that learning. Adults need to be able to do what you're teaching them. It's not enough to learn theory. They have to apply it. And so how can you do that? And then there are all the different ways to address each of those needs that arise from those two things. So I hope I answered your question with that.
No, I think you nailed it. Meeting people where they are. I think a conversation that I continuously find myself having is, so I'm very passionate about AI, and that kind of oozes out of me a little bit sometimes.
I love it.
And I have to stop myself probably about 2 or 3 sentences in to any one of these conversations, and I just be like, hey, how do you, like, I know I'm talking about using AI, but how do you use AI? And what ends up happening is, like, the people that are having the conversation, they kind of circle each other. That's like, okay, you're using it this way. Have you used it that way? Oh, you're using it that way. Have you used it this way? And then you continuously circle, and then you're like, okay, you're one of me. or you're like,
Mm.
hey, you're on first base, or you're on second
Mhm.
base, or you've thought of something that I haven't even thought of or haven't seen out there, which is, I think, part of the struggle of AI is because it is so wide in its ability to assist
Mhm.
anybody,
Yeah.
and the ability to, so there's two things I think is really important about AI. One, it really is based upon how you go about using it. And two, I heard somebody talk about it today that currently it's a jagged frontier. And what I mean by that is that humans, as they like develop in life, they kind of like have this like frontier of knowledge in how they do work, and they kind of get rounded out in all of it in the same kind of way, in and out, right? So you,
Mhm.
from learning how to read, learning how to do math, how to draw, all those things. And what is weird about AI is that it has gotten really good at math. It has
Mhm.
gotten really good at coding. It has gotten really good at writing, but it like misses things that are so obvious to us.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes when people find that one thing that is wrong, that it messed up on,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, it's it's not what everybody told us it was.
It is so
And
wild that you're talking about this.
why is
Tonight,
that?
I was telling JD, so my husband JD, for those of you who don't know, which is gonna be all 8 of you. Um, but JD, my husband JD has an accounting degree from U of H. He went into banking, so he was a commercial lender for nonprofits, and then a commercial lender for middle market companies. Um, and so I was telling him about what we were going to be talking about because he's very into AI, but very much from an investment standpoint in the stock market. So he does a lot of research because he naturally researches the individual stocks that he invests in.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's interesting how the information we're both gathering, how we share back and forth and how it applies. But tonight he told me you and Josh need to talk about hallucinations. I'm warning everybody that AI has hallucinations, but what's funny is I'm learning about him. He's eventually going to come to the same terms of, oh, it's not bad, but he does tend to fall into the what's wrong with this. But that's also what bankers do. They analyze, they do a credit analysis, which is really just, well, no one quote me on this, but I believe is where they analyze the risk, and then consider the risk when they define a loan or how much they'll loan to a company. So he's trained to think about what's wrong with something, and he has latched onto the hallucinations. He's like, I don't know, you know.
He's not the only one, right? So uh, that has been the plague, like the hallucinations, because AI, it lying seems like such a like accusatory word, but we're going to say it anyways in this, and like talking about hallucinations. It lies to you in such a convincing way. And it takes somebody that actually knows what they're doing to recognize like the sometimes small way that it has lied or
Mhm,
hallucinated or used different parts of its knowledge base to get to what it told you. And
mhm,
so the best way to get rid of hallucinations is having the right information as part of your prompting.
mm.
And so what I mean by that is like, if you abstractly just write in to ChatGPT, and I'm going to reference ChatGPT because that's my AI of choice. I'm playing around
That's
with
that's
Genesis
my
right now
AI choice
because
too. Although the videos we watched did challenge me in my decision on that. So we'll get to that.
yeah,
Pause.
we'll get to that. But the more that you can provide knowledge that you want it to source in a way that is actually sourceable, and what I
Mhm,
mean by that is like you can't just upload PDFs, you can't just upload visuals, you can't just upload. It can, it will do it. It's got it's got the ability to take in that information and give like reason from it,
mhm,
but when you are working with, I'm guessing JD might be working with it at an enterprise level. Is that how he's been working with it, or is it?
Okay. He's been running like financial analysis and having run models and stuff and all that.
Gotcha. So what he doesn't know is actually happening in the background, and I've got an article that I'll put in the descriptions. That I posted onto my Substack. That is about. There are things.
If you do listen to my first podcast and support me and make it this far, I love you and appreciate you. And go check out that link. Maybe think about it at least.
So what companies are doing at the enterprise level is that they are writing prompts, and they are sourcing the prompts from all the data that exists at your company. And what it's doing is it's you write it, it sends it into a separate kind of category, like a separate part of the prompting, and it looks up information on, and this is not at the LLM. So this has not been sent to the ChatGPT side of the world. It's it's sitting at the enterprise level. And it pulls in information that it thinks is relative to the question that you're asking. Well, if you've got bad data sets on your enterprise side that is either outdated, or it thinks that you're referencing it, but you didn't write your prompt clear enough, and so it's going to pull in other information. What the language model gets is bad data that you don't even know that it's getting, because it's kind of hidden behind the enterprise prompting. So there's these terms called vectorizing, embedding, and RAG, which RAG stands for retrieval augmented. I don't even know. I wrote an essay about it. We'll link it, but it is basically going in and saying what topics are closest to the topics that I'm prompting about. Let's put that information into our prompt, and the language model is then using that information to give its response back. And that's what's happening with the enterprise level, is that all these companies that are kind of rolling these out to enterprises are figuring out different ways to feed data into the prompt that you're writing into that prompt, which is why typically right now, when you're interacting with ChatGPT and you're kind of prompting it yourself and you're giving its own knowledge, you get a better response, because the data that you're putting into it is more relevant because you've sourced that data yourself versus relying on other mechanisms to do that work for you.
Well, it's like you can't believe everything you read on the internet. That doesn't mean that AI is going to be able to recognize what you shouldn't believe on the internet. It's just information that it can pull from. Yeah. So I agree. Also, this is a side note, and maybe this could be, how we're talking about like the typical thing that we'll do in every episode. I guess we're talking about structure, right? We want to be raw. It'd be fun to have some type of word to say whenever there's like a side note about how we could use AI live with our podcast. So I started, my human self started to write down, somebody's got to track all these links. We got to link that. He's saying we're going to link a lot of things. So are we keeping track of it? So I just started writing a list in my little handy dandy notebook. And then I was like, wait, this system's probably going to create a to-do list for us from the video.
Boom.
Is it also going to make cuts and edits?
Come on. We got to figure out where to spend the subscription dollars at right now, right? Because AI is kind of expensive. I don't know if you've noticed, but everything is a $20 subscription.
A month, isn't it? $200 a month. I don't even pay that much for my cell phone.
Listen, but it's kind of worth it. Like,
it is low key. It kind of is.
I'm paying for the $200 Pro version, but I am building my own application, and someday we'll talk about what the application that I'm building right now, because I'm really excited about it. It's something for me as a dad that I want to have for my child, and so I'm building it. And if it is marketable into the world, then phenomenal. If it's not, then I'm just going to get to use it. But I'm using the Pro version because I can tie APIs into it and have unlimited prompting, and it's a whole thing. But we'll go into that later. But so you're talking about notes and all the information. When we post this to YouTube's like automatically pulls in a transcript, something that is going to be a promise of mine, is that I will always copy that transcript and put it into ChatGPT and say, what factual information do I have wrong, and correct it in 2 sentences, 2 or 3 sentences. And we will be putting that into the description of every single video, because I'm an enthusiast that wants to be a professional right now, right? Like I really, this to me lights up my brain a little bit. And so I want if there's anything to be a professional in, it should be like something that's completely new to everybody. Like I get to start off at the same starting base as everybody else.
Yeah.
So we're going to put the corrections, some factual corrections, and we'll probably touch on them if they're big on. So if I mess up something that's technical, or you say something that's technical, yeah, we'll touch up on in the following episode. That way we're growing along with our community. To-do lists, like transcripts to, I don't know if you use Teams Premium or any of those types of things, but that's like a bottom. Do you have Teams Premium?
I believe so.
I mean,
I believe I
don't want to advertise for, hey, Microsoft, like if you want to sponsor this video, advertise.
Your camera and you were like, listen up, Microsoft.
I'm looking
I have got to upgrade my camera. One day we're gonna look up and be like, Josh, what the heck type of camera did I have going on? Like, look how bad my quality is. Like, your face looks like I should be able to see pimples on your face, but there are also no pimples. So that's a really great camera. Either you don't have any pimples or just that type of camera.
I don't have any filters on. I might need to figure out filters. I've never been the person that, like, I guess. Let me not say that. But I'm not sure if I want people looking at the pimples on my skin, because at some point there'll probably be like something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we, so part of this episode is that we're going to be, or part of the show is that we're going to be finding AI use cases in the news or in business, or kind of a big topic that is happening. We'll probably shoot for 2 or 3 per episode. And then we're going to ask the question, if this, then what? And talk about, this is kind of a play on, that's what language models are doing. It's predicting the next word. And we're going to predict what is going to happen in the industry next. And so I think, or how something that is happening in one industry might be affected in another, right? So if hospitals can figure out using large language models how to better fill their beds, then how can libraries figure out a better Dewey Decimal System? I don't know, like it's something around something. But how about we get something about something?
Remember the professional part, everyone.
we're currently at the wannabe stage right now, Cydney. Again, only like 10 people, 5 people are going to watch this. So we're happy.
It's going to be beautiful. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you made a slide deck.
I made a slide deck. And apparently I don't know how to send if this then what behind the words of the slide deck. But so we had a few things. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I had a few things I sent to you ahead. And I just wanted to kind of briefly touch on them for the audience on what we'll be talking about today. Today, even though I'm an OpenAI fanboy, Google had a crazy December. So from a AI standpoint, OpenAI was kind of like famously founded on the fact that Sam Altman and Elon Musk didn't want Google to have like this like super leg up on AI, and they founded a nonprofit to go out and do this stuff. And so they wanted to make this all open source. Now there's a lawsuit. That's the only way we know all this stuff, because we got to see their emails. But everybody has been like, why is Google so far behind? Because all of the original AI like professionals all lived over there. And on top of that, Google has this phenomenal ecosystem of data, and that's how you train these systems. So if you've got unlimited data in text, if you've got unlimited data in video, unlimited data in images, you have access to the best training materials out there. And everybody's been kind of wondering, why has Google been so like, I'm call them out now, they've been bad. They've just had weird stuff happening.
Too.
Yeah, it's been bad. Like the big thing was like they had or we won't get into any of the political stuff that was happening like a year ago with Google's AI, but they put too many guardrails on it. Let's just go with that.
Ooh, but this is going to be so interesting, Josh, how my perspective is going to come from JD's perspective of investing, because he's always talking about different companies that he's invested in, like Meta, Nvidia, Micron, all this stuff. So I just can already see this being a very interesting overlap. Proceed.
Okay. So Google, this in December, they came out with VO2, which is already got like 4K videos that is top, like beating everybody. And not only do they have 4K videos, but you can change the camera angle of the exact same scene. And so as you like mix and make your videos, like you can interact with a physical 4D type of video as you're kind of creating what I had create with this. So something that was like super annoying to me that I couldn't get out of this was let's you see this guy's hand right there, and it kind of goes through the sign.
Yeah.
So supposedly, and right now, Google VO's like you have to like sign up for a wait list, and you're supposed to put your your like past works onto it, and then they decide if you're like good enough to use their system yet. Like it's not fully launched to the world. You have to like provide your work, like so you can get like you go onto a wait list, and then they decide whether your videos are good enough to like join their like test case. So I put my personal YouTube on it, and like we're just gonna see what happens.
Fingers crossed, man.
Maybe I can pay $20 with somebody else. So 4K video with different camera angles. Imagine 3 came out, and it's got very lifelike art, and it is already, so they have what's called AI battle arenas, where people put in prompts and it posts 2 different like style of images, and people pick their favorites on which prompt works. And so Imagine 3 got kind of pre-released on these like arenas, and people were picking them above everybody else's. So that was kind of like the video stuff and like cinematography and images and everything that came out. And then they had Gemini 2.0 came out, where you can share your screen. It's got a better like language model of like the responses is like more advanced. It's less hallucinations, less like bad information that's coming out. It's currently outperforming GPT-4. And then Project Astra is like you can hook it up to your phone, and it's like seeing the picture that's on the wall that you've previously labeled it as your son's picture, and what date that you labeled it as your son's picture, and like how old you were, like whatever random information that you want to put onto it. And it can do kind of augmented reality on the world. And so it's going to be paired up with their glasses, and kind of the world has gone crazy. Like 2025 is going to be insane. So I wanted to talk about those, and I sent you a couple of videos ahead.
Yes.
And I've did a word salad at you. Give me your thoughts.
So there were 2 big things that were going through my mind. So first of all, I'm finding that a lot of people that I'm engaging with are choosing to be more afraid of AI. And sure, there's some concerns on my end. Here's the reality, though, regardless of how you feel, because I think people are on a spectrum when it comes to that. AI is the future. And the best thing to do is to figure out how to get good at utilizing it. You have to, it's like whenever computers came out, you have to understand my parents' generation, our parents' generations, they were, or not so much them, maybe our grandparents' generation, they were more afraid to adopt computers. And it's always scary, but things advance. But those who allowed themselves to get good at typing, get good at searching the web, get good at just clicking around, they're the ones that have excelled in their careers, or at least it helped them do that. So I think we definitely need to embrace it. And then the other thing was actually said in the second video that we watched. And he worded it so perfectly, because I was like, I can't pinpoint what I'm thinking, but he said, let the robots do the work. And that is a part of learning how to utilize it best. So in your corner of the world, how can you as a human choose to see this as a way to level up and to be more impactful with our efforts? This is a whole new level of learning, doing work. Imagine what it can open. Sure, there's like I used to talk about in my consulting about glasses half empty versus glasses half full. There's a lot of people that are afraid and they're thinking glasses half full. What if it goes bad, right? What if it goes good? What if you learn? What would your world, your life, your little world look like if you just embraced moms out there or even working wives? How can you make grocery shopping easier with AI? you know? So those were my overall thoughts.
That every Sunday I have one dish that I have reserved that I have like a flavor profile that I am going after, and I'll ask ChatGPT what I should cook. If it has like, I want to include chicken and I want it to have like an Italian style flavoring, and give me some recommendations.
Yeah.
And then whenever create my HEB like grocery list, I take screenshots of my grocery list that I'm like, hey, this is all the things I've added. What would I add to make it add this flavor to it? And like, Linda, my wife, is constantly making fun of me because I kind of treat ChatGPT as a game. But I think you're so onto something. One of my coworkers, Alex, shout out Alex. I'm sure you're probably not going to watch this, but shout out Alex. He said that there's somebody, I can't remember who he said, but there's kind of like one of like the godfathers of AI, said that you either ride the wave or you get hit by the wave, but the wave is coming. Like the wave is coming. And
that's what I was thinking about, was not letting the wave of life just beat you. Just learn to ride it. That was powerful.
You got to ride that wave. And I think I as a person, I've had to overcome my own kind of fear of what are people going to think if they find out that I'm using it in the amount that I'm using it. Because so I had transitioned into a new job that I had never done before, and it was data analytics, and it was using Power BI, and Power BI has this coding language DAX that I hadn't used in like 10 years. And you don't just like stop using DAX for 10 years and then remember how to use it. And I kind of wanted a shortcut to do good work. And I was just like, I'm not going to relearn DAX. I'm just going to have ChatGPT learn DAX for me. And so I had some people reach out to me and was like, how did you do X, Y, and Z? And I'd be like, send me what you're trying to do and I'll take a look at it. And and it was really like me putting it to ChatGPT because I didn't know how I was doing some of the stuff that I was doing, but I knew that it was right. I had validated it, right? Like I had went through the problem. Like I gave it my goal. It didn't get the first time. It didn't get the second time. It didn't get the 20th time. But every single time I kind of corrected what I was doing. I got better at prompting because I had the kind of early days of ChatGPT that wasn't like what we're dealing with now. And it helped me so much in my work that I was doing. And I was hiding it. Like I was secretive about it because I was like, these like, people are going to find out I'm an imposter. And then I don't know what made me change, but there was something that kind of like shifted my thought, was like, oh no, this is just going to be how people work now. Like, this is just going to be how the world exists. And the skill set that I've developed in using AI is actually the skill set that people are going to seek out. And the more and more people that I have seen like truly embrace it, I mean, if you're an expert in your field, this is your time to just like, I did like the other day I took Anderson, my son, for a walk. And I said, I want to make a name for myself. I want to solve something big because I can think creatively, and I want to solve something big with AI. Give me like really hard problems to solve in math and science and industries, and like just for like giggles while I'm like taking for a walk. And I'm not going to be able to solve any of these things. But if you're a mathematician, like if you can figure out, I got a list. You plug into ChatGPT, you plug into ChatGPT the hardest questions, and you take your expertise, you augment it, you make your abilities 10 times faster, you compute a lot faster, you do the proofs a lot faster, and it's not cheating. It's a work partner. It's the most eager lab partner you've ever had, and you just have to figure out how to unleash its brain. So cool.
Well,
that was
keep going.
No, so I was going to jump into the next thing. So that was kind of Gemini, the kind of the LLMs, the communications, the Gemini 2, the Project Astra, Imagine, and kind of the video things. I really want to talk about the next thing because we'll come back to that question. So I have the question of, we kind of answered it. My question was, if the AI landscape is evolving faster than ever, then how can individuals and businesses pick one tool and maximize its potential without feeling overwhelmed? Cydney, I'm not going to answer that one. How do people pick a tool or the top 5 tools and just dive into it?
Well, I think there's 2 parts to that, and I'll say it quickly. So the first thing is have trust that the tech stack partnerships that you already have in place, that they are working on their own AI model. So I want to say that first and foremost. With that being said, I think that where companies should invest their time and their resources with AI is in developing, I think it's what you were saying, the language learning model, developing your own as a business by uploading your own data that can even create the voice of your company. It can help you make decisions that are more tailored to your business, and even help you create communication plans, change management plans when it comes to forecasting business and people and communicating to the company. So that's how I would do it. Is that a LLM that I mentioned? Am I learning that right?
It is a, I don't know. It uses embedding, vectorizing, and RAG. So if you want to learn more about the prompting within the prompting that is happening at the enterprise level, those are the 3 topics that you want to do. How I learned about it was I told ChatGPT, tell me what embedding, vectorizing, and RAG means as if I'm a 5th grader. And then I did it as I'm an 8th grader, and then as a high school student, as a high school senior, and then as a college computer science major, and as a PhD, like person that's like researching this stuff. And then I asked some other questions and kind of worked my way up and down just to try and explain it to myself, because it is kind of complicated what vectorizing is. Like, it's like how like it turns your text into numbers and then makes those numbers into like a 4-dimensional, and it like says how close things are together.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that is not what I was talking about.
But I think my answer to this is use AI to learn AI. Like that is the key to figuring all this out, is using AI. Have meetings about this stuff, record it, throw a bunch of stuff up against the wall, throw that transcript into ChatGPT, ask it what questions you need to answer to get what information you're missing, and then have it teach you about those things. And I think I do want to recommend that individuals, so not businesses, so individuals, pick one tool. Don't listen to the news unless you're listening to and what. Got to plug that. Don't listen to the news, because every single week this stuff is moving so fast. I've had to take months off just because it is exhausting to keep up with. So something new to kind of keep up with.
I definitely like your answer.
Thank you. I wrote the question, so I had some time to think about it. I cheated. We're throwing things at you, a little curveballs at you. Okay.
No worries. We're just sharpening my improv skills.
There we go. Project Genesis. So I sent you an entire video about just this, and 30,000 feet above. We got this slide up here, so take your screenshots, look at it, because we're about to go to just me and Cydney. But 30,000 feet above, physics has been, and robotics has been the thing. Like, if you ever see a video of a robot dog, like just like clomping around, and like you not being able to adjust to itself, and not being able to like handle the real world around it, physics of robotics is the thing that costs every robotics company the most money. Google just open source a Python code. So Python is the most supported coding language in the world. Open source, so everybody can take this engine and put it into their own. It runs on a 4090, which my computer is running a 4080 because I'm a nerd. A 4090 is $1,600. $1,600. You've just open sourced a robotics engine that understands how physics works. And it's what, let's pop up that slide again. It is 10 to 80,000 or 80 times faster than GPU accelerated systems, right? So it is already outperforming, like, what's that robot dog company that like Robotic Dynamics or whatever? It's already outperforming those guys. And it's now open source. Anybody can get this. And they're kind of building it into their video models. And so now whenever like you're trying to create a video where somebody's making a neon sign, their hand won't go through the neon sign. And they just open sourced it, and they said, have fun. And I need to get your thoughts.
So I've had a little bit of time to think about it, because even at the end, the guy asked, how do we feel about, or like your opinions about open source AI? At first I was scared. I was like, ooh, I wonder what all bad ways this can be utilized, or what could happen. But I couldn't really think of any specifics. But what I very immediately afterwards, what I felt was just excited. It can be community building. I don't know. I just think it's a great opportunity for people to work towards something together, which is just me thinking about the good in this world. Because I could very easily put on like a scary movie background music, and it could be people can
the
do
robots
some
are taking over
things together with it. Yeah. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings, but the part of me that wants to survive and thrive is going to drive me to try and learn all of this and not be afraid of it. Just embrace it. So,
yeah, no, I think we'll pop open the question that I have for this specific slide. So, if robotics training becomes accessible to anyone, how can entrepreneurs leverage it to create businesses? So, if you can simulate anything, like, you don't have to build it out into the real world. You can build your manufacturing company, and you can simulate 500,000 versions of this manufacturing company, and then like press run, and you come back the next day and you get the top 10, and then you make that what is the most cost effective version of those 10. And now you have a complete, like, way more formalized business plan that you can bring to JD, and he'll have a harder time poking risk factors into it, because you've ran 500,000 simulations. Like, it doesn't even have to be about robotics, right? So robotics is like, let's now take these simulations and put it into the world. You can just keep the things that you want to do on your computer and build out like, so I work in construction, and if you could build out whole sequences of putting up a crane, like putting up the mast of a crane, and having training videos about different things that can happen with different simulations, and having somebody do training off of simulations that they are like, I'm putting this pin into this bolt, what happens? And it like has a physics engine to it that you can practice real things in real world. The amount of entrepreneurial things that like comes to mind with this, and that's why like it's one of those, it's like the wave is coming, but like it's get jobs that it's going to create so many jobs is really what I'm saying. Like, I think a lot of people are worried that now your waiter job is going to go away because now there's a robot that can bring your waiters, like your food to you, or your like your dish cook, or your like your line cook, or your dish cleaner, like those like jobs. Like, you better believe McDonald's is going to develop a robot to outsource.
They already are.
I haven't seen that in the
they
news.
Already
you
are.
Should bring that.
Automated. Well, JD Investing, this is something he's looked into. They're already running prototypes, or is it Taco Bell? One of the two. This is where we got to fact check me, man. But one of the two, they are already doing automatic drive ups, where it's just the kitchen is fully automated and robotics.
Yeah. Well, their robotics just got a lot cheaper to make and a lot better. It's just 60 to 80 times better. So the rich people are going to win more. And but I think there's so much opportunity for what can happen everywhere else. And that's what I'm most excited about, is kind of that entrepreneurial ability to do more things.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just think it gives, like I said earlier, it just gives us a way to elevate the way we work together, or the way what we can do and what role we play in things. I remember, this is going to be a simplified example, but one of my professors in my MBA program, he was really amazing, Professor Fernandez. He talked about AI he said, whatever it takes to leave the most room possible for engagement and conversation on teams, with your teams. That's what I want. He was like, I don't want y'all to just hop on to do the assignments to finish it. If you use AI to complete the entire assignment, he even told us about Gamma, how to use Gamma to take our notes from our document, our 80-page talent strategy document that we put together, and put it into Gamma, and it generated a slide deck for us. He said, I just want y'all on teams having conversations. And so I feel like that's what AI is allowing us to do. It's allowing us to elevate and do the deeper work. Do you know what I mean? So that's what excites me about that.
And communicate the difficult things better, right? So I had made a business plan, like a 22-page business plan. I dropped it into Notebook LM's like podcast maker. We didn't talk about Notebook LM, and that's something else that Google made better. Like, you can now interact with that podcast and ask questions to the podcast. But I made a podcast, and I had been sitting around this 22-page like business plan, and like nobody was opening it. I was getting like this like kind of weak feedback on things. I suddenly started sending out this like 8-minute podcast that it had like made in about 30 seconds that explained it in such a better way than I ever could. And so like, it's just this communication tool that unlocks so many different things. So, well, cool. That's AI in the news. I wanted to spend the last like 8 minutes talking about what if this then what is going to turn into some of the things that we're going to bring up coming into the future. So I know that we talked about, we want this to be kind of a business strategy. How can businesses take advantage of this? So I know in your role, you're consulting directly with businesses. How can employees upscale their own work? How can they make themselves better? And I think that we're going to be able to get some special guests on this podcast. I think that we know too many smart people to not have some good hijinks outside of just me and you.
I
So
agree.
let's get some dads on here or some moms on here talking about, hey, what are they worried about AI teaching their kids. Let's get a teacher on here. So my brother is a high school math teacher and my mom's a principal. My brother jokingly says that AI is the devil. My mom, so far they've just like figured out how like AI can help teachers, but they like are crafting still like how to incorporate it into students learning. I think that should be a great topic for next week, but definitely get some special guests. I've been interacting with some people in the industry, and I know that you shout out to University of Houston. And you didn't talk about this, but you've got an entrepreneurship degree from the University of Houston. And like number one entrepreneurship. Look it up, people.
The Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship program. Yes, and I'm on the board as well for the Alumni Network.
And so you've got some people that are doing this and having to like ride the wave or they're going to get hit by the wave.
Really cool stuff. Yeah.
And they're doing some cool stuff, and let's get them on here to talk about it. And so I think that's it. Cydney, do you have anything that you want to end with?
Other than, well, one, it's going to be fun balancing the college friend and me and the professional that we're trying to be too.
No college stories.
Okay, fair deal.
Unless you make us look good.
Can I still call you beautiful?
You can call me beautiful.
And the other thing is the goal is to help people feel empowered by this ever-changing world, and to create language around it and to create exposure and just really make everything more accessible. And so you'll find that, the balance is going to be between Josh's extremely technical background and just him being a personable guy, and then more of my career going on to the personal side and just really floating towards technology. My IT team at my previous company, shout out to Kevin and Cav. They always called me the what's it called? Power user, because I always had things break down, but it was because I was using things I was the person that wasn't afraid to click things. So I'm just really excited to see that balance. And I hope that balance helps make things more accessible and invite people to the ever evolving world of AI.
Man, what a word, Cydney. Thank you for signing us off. I think that's going to be it for this show. And I hope to see you next time.
You will. I hit accept.